murder of a 13-year-old girl. We have team coverage getting the moments the family and friends shared their memories of the teen and when the judge handed down that sentence.
Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live, you're watching News 6 at 4 p.m.
And we're starting off News 6 at 4 with some breaking news. Stephan Sterns will spend the rest of his life in prison for the murder of little Madeline Soto. That 13-year-old was first reported missing in February of last year when she didn't show up to middle school. Investigators found her body just a few days later. They believe Sterns sexually molested her and killed her. News 6 anchor Ginger Gadsden joins us now live outside the courthouse. Ginger, you were there. What did you see today?
Matt, such an emotional day in court. Sterns also sentenced to life in prison for 20 sex offenses, including battery of a child. And he pled no contest to first-degree murder. That's when you could hear people audibly groan to that. And he also pled guilty to 20 counts of sex crimes this afternoon. News 6 investigator Mike DeForest joins me now. He has been covering this case from the very beginning. Last February, Mike, when we thought this was just a missing persons case.
Sadly, we see this a lot. It's a missing person case. The community gets invested in this, and then you hear the horrific details. In this case, it's already saying that Madeline Soto had been raped for years and then murdered, and today now the man who was charged with those crimes being sent to prison for the rest of his life. Now, you were in the courtroom with me, and the one noticeable thing I think a lot of us caught was that Madeline Soto's mother, Jennifer Soto, was not in court. In fact, I asked a couple people, including Ginger, did you see her? No, she was not there. After the judge sentenced Stephan Sterns to life in prison for the rape and murder of Madeline Soto, Sterns actually addressed the court. Here's what he had to say.
I've prayed to God countless times to trade places with her, to take me instead. And unfortunately, that's just not how he works. I have nothing but sorrow for her loss. And I miss her all the time.
Now, as part of an agreement with prosecutors, Sterns pleaded no contest to murdering Soto, who was his girlfriend's daughter. Now, legally, no contest is the same thing as a guilty plea, but Sterns did not take responsibility for her death. Prosecutors believe Sterns strangled the teen to death last year and then dumped her body in a wooded area near St. Cloud. Now, Sterns did plead guilty to 20 sex crimes, including sexual battery on a child. Shortly before the judge sentenced Sterns to life in prison without the possibility of parole, Madeline Soto's biological father addressed the court.
We're all on edge because it doesn't heal with time. This isn't like other deaths that I've experienced. This just gets worse. It just gets worse every time I rethink about it and the true horror of what this man did upon her.
The prosecutors originally announced they would be seeking the death penalty for Soto's murder, but as part of today's plea deal, prosecutors agreed to withdraw the death penalty. The state also dropped 40 criminal charges related to sexually explicit images of Soto that detectives allegedly found on Sterns' cell phone. Now, besides Soto's father that you heard there were several of Madeline Soto's relatives and friends who spoke, sometimes very tearfully. The courtroom was packed. But again, what was noticeable was that her mom was not up there today.
Yeah, and people were asking where her mom was or why she wasn't there, and they had to clarify, do you mean the stepmom or the mom? And you were at the very front of the courtroom, right behind Sterns and facing the judge. I was at the very back, so I could see everyone's reaction to each of those counts when he would speak or say something. And you could hear, I don't know if you could hear people just weeping and sniffling and just sort of very upset when he spoke about Madeline.
Well, and especially when it came to the no contest plea, which is him basically saying, I'm not going to take responsibility for this, but I will accept the consequences of that. And I think that's where I noticed the gasp. Also, too, typically in sentencing, it's before the judge issues the sentence. The defendant may make a plea for, hey, give me some leniency or whatever. That didn't happen. He didn't speak till after the sentence was handed down.
Yeah, a lot happened today, and we will see you again at 5 o'clock. Mike DeForest, great job. Thank you very much. All right, we want to now get to our News 6's Catherine Silver, who is speaking to the attorneys representing Maddie's biological dad. And Catherine, there is some question about if this family really is on board with this plea agreement.
Ginger, that is exactly why I asked her father's attorney to give us her insight, particularly when it comes to Stephan Sterns' plea of no contest versus guilty to Madeleine's murder. She told me ultimately Maddie's father does agree with this plea deal. The family was made aware of this deal sometime last week, and ultimately this allows this case to come to the conclusion where Stephan Sterns will be spending the rest of his life in prison.
Obviously, with a trial coming out, and the sex crimes trial was going to be starting on Tuesday, that's a lot of videos. It's their little girl. And I think he recognizes that Stephan Sterns is going to die in prison. The death penalty is you die in prison. And he is not getting out, ever. And I think that he understands that, and he understands the trade-off in terms of, okay, he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison, and my little girl does not have to essentially go through this.
With this plea agreement, the family also gets to avoid the pain of a trial, and Stephan Sterns gets to avoid the death penalty. Maddie's father's lawyer tells me that this outcome also takes away the pain of the never-ending appeals process that typically comes with those capital offense cases. She says nothing will change the outcome or the facts of this case or take away the loss that Maddie's family feels, but this outcome is a step towards closure for her father. Ginger, back to you.
Yeah, closure not just for the dad and the family, but closure to some degree for this community, because keep in mind, this is a crime that shook this community to its core when they found out what happened to this innocent 13-year-old girl. And being in the court today, it was packed. And I thought most of the people there were with Maddie's family. But I found out where I was sitting, there were just casual observers, people who wanted to be there. And I asked them, why are you here if you're not related to her? They said she was a part of our community, and we just want to see and have justice for Maddie. That's how people still feel about this 13-year-old girl. And during those powerful impact statements, many of the people who spoke ended it by saying justice for Maddie. And I think that's what this community wants, and hopefully we can get some closure. Of course, we're going to continue to cover this story for you and bring you the very latest on all of our digital platforms, including clickorlando.com. But for now, I'm going to send it back to you in the studio, Matt.
All right, Ginger, thank you. And we do have some more breaking news coming in. One of the actors from the classic sitcom The Cosby Show has died. Investigators say Malcolm Jamal Warner drowned while swimming in the ocean during a family vacation in Costa Rica. The New Jersey native, who made his acting debut at the age of 9, became a household name for his role as Bill Cosby's son, Theo Huxtable, from 1984 through 92. Warner was 54 years old. Investigators one step closer to finding the driver who hit a woman and took off. The terrifying hit and run was all caught on camera over the weekend on Arabella Lane in Port St. John. News 6's Brevard County community correspondent James Sparvero has an update on how the woman is doing and the new clue in the investigation.
Last Monday, after my first report on this story, the FHP gave us a new picture of the car they were looking for. Initially, they told us the old Honda Accord may have been gold or silver. You can see in the new picture it was clearly gold. And then today, the FHP updated us again that 9 days since the hit and run, they found this car. And this is very encouraging news to the victim's family and friends, like Vicky here.
Yes.
Vicky, you told me that she came home on Saturday. She's recovering now.
She is.
How's she doing inside the house?
She's good. She's sleeping in a chair with her foot up, full neck brace on, learning to get around the house on a walker right now. She's got 2 plates in her foot, and she'll need that removed in the future. And then she'll do a follow-up on her neck to see if she needs surgery on the 3 breaks in her neck.
So physically, it sounds like she's improving. What about her mental state right now? It's hard to watch that video over and over again.
It is, and she's watched it several times. She said she can handle the flying through the air. It's the part seeing herself laying there in the driveway. I think it's probably going to haunt all of us, her granddaughter, all of us, for a long time.
What do you think she would say to this person?
Whoa, that's a hard one. To think that someone left her for dead, it's hard to imagine the character of that person.
And since the state troopers have the car now, do you think it's just a matter of time before they identify and find that driver?
I believe it is. It'll put some closure on that phase of it, and she can begin healing herself.
And the FHP says it's still collecting more evidence in this investigation. We'll let you know when we have our next update. In Port St. John, Brevard County, I'm your community correspondent, James Sparvero, News 6.
We are about an hour away from yet another rocket launch from the Space Coast. SpaceX will be carrying a communications satellite into orbit. If the rocket lifts off from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, we will carry it live. 2-hour window opens at 5:12. Well, could the summer almost be over? For some students, there are only 3 weeks left. The majority of Central Florida goes back to school Monday, August 11th, except for Flagler County, which starts a couple of days later. Then again, some students return to class this week. Talking about those year-round students, Challenger 7 Elementary in Brevard County started today, and students at Wyomina Park Elementary in Marion County, they return tomorrow. That's where we find News 6's Marion County community correspondent Emily McLeod, who checked in to see how the year-round schedule is working out.
You can feel the energy in the hallways here at Wyomina Park Elementary School as they gear up for the first day back, but you might be thinking, it feels a little early for kids to be going back to school. It's July. Well, that's because Wyomina Park Elementary School is the only school in the Marion County Public School District that's participating in a pilot program for year-round school. Tuesday marks the first day of school for students at Wyomina Park Elementary School.
Hi, welcome back. I missed you.
The school hosting a back-to-school event on Monday for students and their families, where kids could meet their teacher, pick up a free backpack, and get a free haircut ahead of the first day. Patricia Alston brought her grandson, King David Smith, who's heading into first grade. What does this event mean to you?
It means a lot. It takes the stress off your family, and you get to meet the teachers, and the kids know that you mean business, and they're coming to learn, and they're enjoying themselves today, and he's too excited. Look at him.
Wyomina Park is entering its second year of the year-round school pilot program. Alston is a fan of the new schedule.
I think they should make all the schools this way. It's excellent.
During the first year of the pilot program, the school's grade did drop a couple of points, but school administrators are ready to change that this year.
We're coming back this year really focused and focusing on what we had learned from the previous school year, and we're excited about being able to leverage this pilot in order to continue student achievement.
However, while the school's overall grade did not improve, Principal Victoria Hunt says student behavior did.
It's easier for them to transition back and then have those breaks throughout the school year. So that has been a really great thing for us. We've been able to reduce our referral rate and out of school suspension rates, and we're really excited about that.
I'm your Marion County community correspondent, Emily McLeod, News 6.
Well, construction on an iconic beach pier is expected to make some major headway. It was damaged during the 2022 hurricanes. We'll show you the work to bring it back to life. Plus,
News 6 Insider is sponsored by Orange County Library System.
Something to watch out for here. Beware of phone calls saying you missed jury duty and you owe them some money. That's the warning from law enforcement agencies across Central Florida. News 6 investigator Lewis Bolden shows us what you need to watch out for.
They told me they were an officer from Orange County Sheriff's Department and that I missed jury duty and I had a warrant out for my arrest.
They were words that shook Jennifer Bennett to her core from a caller demanding money.
He told me that I had a $20,000 bond and I was able to pay 10% of it over the phone through Zelle.
Hello?
This is Sergeant Mike Jones with the Sheriff's Office.
So many people are getting the calls and losing money that it prompted Orange County Sheriff John Mina, Clerk of Courts Tiffany Moore Russell, and Chief Judge Lisa Munyon to produce this public service announcement warning the public.
Every week, criminals claiming to work for the court system or law enforcement call our residents threatening to arrest them for missing jury duty.
This is a scam.
The clerk's office will never contact you by phone or email, demanding money or personal information.
Seminole, Lake, and Volusia County officials have issued similar alerts. In Volusia County, the callers claim you owe a traffic citation. For Bennett, what was also startling was how much the caller seemed to know about her.
What type of information did he have?
He had my full name, date of birth, and last 3 known addresses.
But when the caller asked her to send the $2,000 with Zelle, she knew it was a scam.
Now, if they would have said, send it through, like my clerk or something like that, I probably would have sent the money.
Remember, don't fall for the scheme, don't get ripped off, but if you do, email me at theinvestigators@wkmg.com. I'm Lewis Bolden, News 6.
Time to get a check of that weather. We have meteorologist Jonathan Kegas taking us through the evening here.
Yeah.
How active is this going to be, Jonathan?
Yeah, we're dodging a few thunderstorms out there. It's certainly all about the heat right now. We're transitioning out of that super hot weekend, though, to a more of a stormy pattern. That really gets underway this evening, and then really as we move into Tuesday and Wednesday. Right now, a couple of bigger thunderstorms for us. You can always track these thunderstorms alongside us by downloading the free News 6 weather app. You can pinpoint those storms right to your home, and you can track to see what the next couple of hours are going to be like. Right now, some bigger thunderstorms trying to slide into Deltona, eventually into Sanford, Lake Mary, Heathrow, or quiet in Apopka in Orlando right now. But there's a little line developing in East Orange County, so heads up in Bithlo. And in Christmas, a couple of thunderstorms developing along the East Coast sea breeze. You see that little line developing right there. We're going to be watching that for the next couple of hours. The heat, the big story, again, a little bit cooler along the coast. We have had some thunderstorms come through. New Smyrna, we're at 82 right now, 80 in Daytona Beach. Compare that to inland areas where we have yet to see the thunderstorms slide through. We're at 97 in Kissimmee, 94 in Orlando, Groveland. Good evening. We are at 95 degrees. Factor in the humidity. Things are going to get a little better. Now, this is the heat index for tomorrow. It's certainly still going to be hot and it's going to be humid. But with the extra clouds and rain around, it's going to be more typical of what we're used to for July and through Central Florida in the summertime. We're watching this little cluster of thunderstorms. It's not very impressive. It's hanging off the southeast corner of the United States, but it's this disturbance that's going to change things up a little bit as it's part of a cold front that's stalled up, and it's going to really help to invigorate some thunderstorms over the next couple of days. And for the next several hours, we're going to be doing a little dodging in terms of those thunderstorms that are out there. There's 6, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Would not be surprised if there are a few downpours out there, especially northwest of I-4. Watch what happens, though, as we move towards the latter stages of the morning. 10, 11 o'clock, we start to get some scattered thunderstorm action. And this is lunchtime tomorrow, noon to 1, as those scattered thunderstorms really begin to increase. So it's going to be of a different kind of look as the storms come early tomorrow, late in the morning, early afternoon. There's 4 o'clock, so scattered thunderstorms around. And we may see more erupt again later on into the evening. Those guys are going to miss out on the thunderstorms. They're heading away from that disturbance. Just a live look outside Port Canaveral with our Launch Credit Union camera. It is hot at the port. We are at 92 degrees. Now here's a look at your forecast. Temperatures tomorrow a little bit cooler. It's still going to be muggy, but we're getting back to around 90 degrees, and that's because of the early start time with the clouds and thunderstorms around again. It's not like we're going to get refreshing air. Watching a disturbance out in the middle of the Atlantic, this one likely not going to develop at all. But as always, we are watching everything. 91 degrees the next couple of days. That's because rain chances sky high Tuesday and Wednesday. It'll drop a little bit on Thursday and then dropping further to start your weekend. And you see there the temperatures, they're back to the mid to upper 90s for the weekend, Matt.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, construction is beginning on an iconic beach pier that was destroyed by Hurricane Ian. We're taking a look at when everything will be back up, as leaders are promising a stronger, more resilient structure to stand up to future storms.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Light Orlando, delivering hope together.
Progress is underway on the historic Flagler Beach Pier. The city shared an update on social media with a tentative 3-week schedule starting today. First up, making adjustments to protect turtle nests there. The original pier was badly damaged by hurricanes in 2022. And the city says they had to wait for FEMA funding to come through to cover that $14 million project. One local business near the pier is working to adapt to the road closures and beach access changes.
We're trying to make the most of it and trying to do specials, trying to bring people in. I think that a lot of people are going to want to come here and, check it out and see, we have front row seats to, the whole construction and all that.
The city hopes to have the project finished by New Year's Eve 2026. In Volusia County tomorrow, leaders will cast their first vote on whether to raise stormwater fees by about $20 a month in New Smyrna Beach. We first told you about this last week. Leaders say the extra cash will help fund a multi-million-dollar flood control project, as well as new street sweepers, portable pumps, and other upgrades. Those fees are also scheduled to go up annually by 3% or inflation, whichever amount is higher. Now to a major push for another big investment in Volusia County. Why leaders want to spend more than $1 million to keep Sunrail running, then from trains to highways.
Volusia County leaders here are asking FDOT to speed up its project on expanding I-4 to alleviate traffic. I'm Molly Reed. Coming up, I'm going to tell you what FDOT says it's doing to get these projects started now.
Today's major stories, which includes the news that Stephan Sterns will spend the rest of his life in prison for the murder of Madeline Soto. That 13-year-old was first reported missing in February of last year when she didn't show up to school. Investigators found her body a few days later. They believe Sterns sexually molested her and killed her. If you watched News 6 Plus online or at clickorlando.com earlier this afternoon, you know Sterns pleaded no contest to that first-degree murder charge, yet pleading guilty on nearly 24 sex crimes. Investigators in Brevard County confirmed they have found the car tied to a hit and run earlier this month. It's a 2004 gold Honda Accord. Investigators say whoever was driving it hit a 55-year-old woman who was walking down the street in Port St. John. The woman has been out of the hospital and is now recovering from her injuries at home. We're about 45 minutes away from a launch from the Space Coast. SpaceX will be launching a communications satellite into orbit. The 2-hour launch window opens at 5:12 from the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. If the launch happens, you can watch it live on News 6 and on the News 6 Plus app. Well, how many of you commute on I-4 between Volusia and Seminole counties? There are so many of you, in fact, that your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed found out leaders are asking the state to speed up its work on the interstate. Fast-tracking the project would bring upgrades similar to those seen in Orlando. Here's Molly with more.
If you drive between Sanford and Volusia County here regularly, you know to expect almost standstill traffic once you hit the St. Johns River at several points throughout today. Volusia County leaders here know it is getting much worse, and that's why they're asking FDOT to start its portion of its I-4 project here much sooner.
It's important. I mean, it connects us to where most people actually go to work, unfortunately, right?
Many residents in western Volusia County commute each day to work in Seminole and Orange counties. Deltona leaders at their meeting tonight are going to vote on a resolution to support expediting projects that would alleviate the I-4 traffic.
So the number one intention is to say, hey, we support getting this passed, getting this fast-tracked. We want to be able to reduce traffic in the city of Deltona.
Seminole County in April voted on a similar resolution. Now Deltona is hoping to join in on the effort to put pressure on the state.
Deltona, Volusia is still part of Central Florida, so let's kind of bring some of that attention up here.
Now, FDOT says expanding the bridge over the St. Johns River is a priority, but it also says it knows it needs to expand the lanes here on I-4, including adding express lanes and revamp the exit and entrance ramps here throughout western Volusia County. So where do these projects actually stand right now? FDOT says a study was last reevaluated in 2016 and 2017 based on 2011 traffic data, and at the time it came up with solutions based on that. With that study now outdated, the state says it's using a newer 2022 study to come up with new ideas. It's currently in the process of hiring a design engineer to create new conceptual plans for traffic solutions.
We're just adding an extra lane on both sides going east and.
Sure, I think about it, it's always busy, you know, from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's like constant traffic.
Now, FDOT says these projects will be done in phases. It says it'll have a better update on the timeline and the project costs once those designs are created. I'm your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
Investigators say they've arrested a guy for going more than 150 miles an hour on I-4. Troopers say they arrested 20-year-old Octavius Hunt Jr. under Florida's new super speeder law. They say he was flying through the express lanes there in Altamont Springs early yesterday morning. Troopers say he had 3 others in the car with him at the time. They arrested him and his car was impounded for 30 days. Florida's super speeder law officially went into effect at the beginning of this month. It targets drivers who exceed the limit by 50 miles per hour or by just going over 100. Drivers caught for the first time face up to 30 days in jail and a $500 fine. Now, a repeat offender could get up to 90 days and a $1,000 fine. If a second violation happens within 5 years, that person's driver's license could also be revoked for up to a year. Tomorrow, Volusia County leaders will roll out a new budget plan with millions of dollars set aside for storm recovery, housing, and keeping Sunrail on track. News 6 Volusia County community correspondent Angie Casada is in DeLand with a look at what's on the table.
Tuesday's budget presentation includes a flat tax rate, but that also makes room for some major investments. One of them being over $1 million to keep Sunrail running. And for riders like Janice from Daytona Beach, that support makes all the difference. Volusia County is eyeing more than $1 million to pay for Sunrail next year.
What I like about the train travel, Sunrail in particular, is they took the stress out of travel. When you get on the platform, you have a gentleman there helping you. It could be a lady too, but it just happened to be this time and last time a gentleman, and he helps you through the kiosk thing, and that took some stress out of it.
It's part of a larger $1.7 billion spending plan that the county will review during Tuesday's meeting.
I've been following this since we moved down here in 2002. We have a lot of old people in the state. We have no real business doing this long distance stuff on the highways.
Oh, yeah.
And these rail connections are vital. The Bright Line, the Sunrail. So I'm thrilled with this. I imagine it's good for the business owners over in Winter Park. Also brings in more people, more traffic.
The county is also expected to appropriate nearly $134 million in federal disaster recovery funds, along with grant money for housing, infrastructure, and new judicial facilities. Anyone who wants to speak must fill out a participation slip before consent items are pulled from the agenda.
Let's do it. Let's get them. It's worth the money. It's going to be worth the money not to have people driving in and wearing out the roads, getting into accidents. This is going to save in ways expected and unexpected.
Again, Tuesday's meeting starts at 4 in the afternoon at the County Admin Building right here in DeLand. I'm your Volusia County Community Correspondent Angie Casada, News 6.
Well, today, former State Senator Blaise Ingoglia was sworn in as Florida's chief financial officer during a brief ceremony at the state capitol. The Hernando County Republican became the 5th CFO in state history. Ingoglia takes over for former CFO Jimmy Patronis, who was elected to Congress in April. Ingoglia was a home builder from Hernando County and has been a state legislator since 2014. He says he'll focus on cutting property taxes, creating housing affordability, and reviewing government spending.
I will not take this for granted. You are not going to see anyone fight harder for the taxpayer, for the consumer, than I will. And I'm planning on hitting the ground running.
Ingoglia also tried to stay away from talk of a 2026 Republican primary contest for CFO. He is expected to face Senator Joe Gruters, state senator, Sarasota Republican, who's drawn some support from President Donald Trump. The final steel beam was placed today, completing the structural frame for a new state-of-the-art facility at the Jackie Robinson Ballpark in Daytona Beach. Here's some video from today's ceremony as that beam was put into position. Construction started last year, should wrap up by early 2026. You can see the beginning of the structure here. The new upgrades include a multi-story facility, home and away clubhouses, and some indoor batting cages. Deputy City Manager of Daytona Beach talked about the importance of this project last year.
The historic and significant undertaking that we're taking on will enhance the preservation of the important life and legacy of Jackie Robinson.
Early this year, President Joe Biden signed a bill naming the park a commemorative site, bringing it one step closer to becoming a National Historic Landmark. Well, it is another sweltering day across Central Florida, and over the weekend, it was definitely a scorcher. But as News 6's Emily McLeod shows us, it didn't stop a group of volunteers from doing some good.
Even though Central Florida was expected to hit what feels like triple-digit temperatures on Sunday, that did not stop this group of volunteers from coming out here in Osceola County and cleaning up the side of the road. So we talked to them about what they were doing to stay safe while they volunteer in this blazing heat.
Volunteers with Saving the Earth from A to Z, We Are One, picked up their trash bags and got to work on a hot Sunday morning. While forecast highs called for low to mid-90s, Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos says with the humidity, it would feel like 105 to 110 degrees across parts of Central Florida.
Even though if it's hot, if it's raining, no matter the situation, we'll definitely rise to the occasion.
Volunteers were picking up trash off the side of Orange Blossom Trail in Kissimmee. Despite the heat, the cause alone was enough to get people outside and cleaning up the stretch of road.
No matter what, no matter where, our mission and our effort is to be able to serve our community with the love of a mother.
Amari Blake was out there Sunday morning protecting herself from the heat and the sun.
What are you doing to make sure that you stay safe in the heat today?
Oh, lots of water. We have some trucks that are coming around with Gatorade, making sure all of the members are fully hydrated, and they're passing it out. They're very kind.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got your sleeves on. Yeah. Is that kind of to protect you from the sun too?
Yeah, directly. I kind of have some situation if I'm in direct sunlight, like I'll sometimes get a really bad sunburn or a heat rash.
Trucks were making passes for the volunteers on Sunday, stocked up with water and Gatorade coolers, making sure people were hydrated in the heat, ready to give them a lift if they needed a break.
We definitely have transportation coming back and forth, picking members up just in case they need to take a restroom break, need to come under the shade for a little while. We're making sure to communicate during our walkies to be able to meet the need of our community and our volunteers while they're here, making the difference that we definitely want to see.
In Osceola County, Emily McLeod, News 6.
Now to Brevard County and a big push to bring oyster reefs to Indian River.
We know that oysters have been in this area and been part of the human diet in this area for over 1,000 years.
Why these reefs could really improve the river's health, that is next. Plus, why you can buy something with mangoes right here in Florida. We'll explain that. You're watching News 6. And here's a live look over downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope camera. And don't forget, you can watch local news and weather 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the News 6 Plus streaming app. The best part, it's all free. Search WKMG in your smart TV's app store. It's also available on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire. In Brevard County, there was a time when oyster reefs took up a significant portion of the Indian River, but because of overharvesting, pollution, and erosion, most of them are gone. Now scientists are trying to bring them back. News 6 photojournalist Paul Giorgio shows why these reefs are so important to the river and to us.
We know that oysters have been in this area and been part of the human diet in this area for over 1,000 years, which is really cool.
Hope Leonard has her eyes on the past.
They're amazing creatures.
But her focus is on the future.
You know, every little bit helps.
She's knee-deep in the Indian River, where hope isn't just her name, it's what drives her.
Yes, you always have to have hope. That is my name, and gotta live by it.
The Conservation Restoration Coordinator with Restore Our Shores is leading a year-long survey of oyster health in the river.
72.
Oyster reefs once covered much of the Indian River Lagoon. As part of the study, Leonard and her team place clean oyster shells in the water monthly to attract oyster larvae called spat.
This was blank when we put it out, so it would look like this.
The spat settle on the shells and grow into new oysters.
And then if you look here, we have an oyster here, here, here.
Good news for a river system that's struggled with nutrient pollution and algae blooms. So why is what's happening here so important? Well, studies show one oyster, little guy like this, can filter 50 gallons of water in one day.
Which is the equivalent of us drinking a cement truck in a day and filtering the water.
Wow.
Yeah.
Leonard says it will take more than oysters to return the river to what it once was. But with a little hope, we'll get there.
I do think that being hopeful can really just help move and progress you forward with your ideas and your mentality. And I think it can help to make you more creative in looking for solutions.
Paul Giorgio, News 6.
Good stuff, Paul. Restore Our Shores has been restoring oyster reefs for more than 15 years. They've helped create about 100 oyster beds up and down the river. Time now to get a check of that weather. We have meteorologist Jonathan Kagas. Man, it has been brutal. It was so hot this weekend. My kid had a tennis tournament. I don't know how those kids were playing out there. It's nuts.
Lots and lots of water, I would imagine. Yeah, it's brutal if you had sports or if you were doing yard work this afternoon or over the weekend. Thunderstorms, though, coming to the rescue. Of course, it's that trade-off. I think it's going to be a little cooler, at least more bearable over the next couple of days, because we are going to see an increase of what we have going on right here. You can get the latest forecast, of course, by downloading the free News 6 weather app as well. You can track those storms right alongside us with that interactive radar. It's a really good tool, especially with days like today where you also have lightning detection in the palm of your hand, so likely getting those alerts in Sanford today as we are watching that line of thunderstorms try to push from northwest off to the south and east. Altamont Springs, we are dry right now. Be mindful, though, that we have thunderstorms close by. That sky getting pretty dark if you're looking to the east. Also, if you're looking north from Denellen or west from Ocala, the skies are getting super dark. We have a pretty electrified thunderstorm sliding in from northwest to southeast. Again, these are going to be here in the next 15 to 30 minutes on the west side of Ocala, and this is going to run right on through Denellen. So again, early heads up in Denellen for some of these nasty thunderstorms. Just some light rain for us in the Palm Coast after some earlier thunderstorms. Point Siena, I'm watching this thunderstorm for you as well. This is moving away from us now. Still some lightning strikes around the Point Siena area. So again, maybe give it another 15 minutes, wait till you clear that thunder, and then 30 minutes. Again, that 30-30 rule. Delay any activity outside for 30 minutes after you hear that last rumble of thunder. So again, just be mindful of that if you're planning on taking the dog out over the next 15 minutes or so. There's still some lightning that could be striking close to town. 92 at the Cape right now. It feels like 106, 104 in Melbourne. When you factor in the humidity again, it's 93 in Orlando. It feels like 97 with the humidity factored in. Century mark in both Claremont and in Leesburg. The reason for the increased thunderstorm potential, it's this guy here. It's pretty much deja vu of last week at this time. We're watching a cluster of thunderstorms out over the southeast corner of the United States. That's going to try to slide in, and it's going to help to increase our rain chances at kind of atypical times than what we're used to. For that, here's a look at your forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Ramjack.
70% chance for rain tomorrow, much different than what we had over the weekend. Today, we're kind of transitioning out of the super heat, and it's still going to be hot, of course. but upper 80s and lower 90s heat tomorrow. Again, those rain chances sky high and coming early in the afternoon, really late in the morning, early afternoon tomorrow. There's 1 o'clock in the morning. Would not be surprised if there was a stray downpour in the mix. Watch what happens gradually again late tomorrow morning through the afternoon, pausing this at 1 to 2 o'clock with widespread thunderstorms around. So it's going to be a topsy-turvy kind of day where the storm chances are highest for the first half of the day, and then a little bit lower as we get into the evening. Still not zero, as we're going to see rounds of rain because of that disturbance hanging off our coast for the next couple of days. Rain chances at 70% Tuesday and Wednesday. That means the thermometer is going to be a little bit lower. It's still going to be hot and muggy, of course, but it's going to be a little more bearable. 93 on Thursday. Rain chances going back down again to start the weekend. That means, Matt, the mid to upper 90s return.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Well, Disney's Magic Kingdom now has another reason for families to stick around at the end of the night. Coming up, we'll have a first look at the new nighttime parade that's adding a little more sparkle. Well, it is mango season, and in Florida, the fruit can be as good as gold in some establishments. CBS News correspondent Christian Benavides explains why from Miami.
It may be hurricane season, but Miami residents Boris McNertney and Virginia LaPlus say in their backyard, it's raining mangoes.
We're hearing them like thunder at night, sometimes hitting the roof and falling down.
Just take a look at their haul.
I'm bringing home 5-gallon buckets, at least 2 a day. Mango smoothies, mango pies, mango chutney, mango sauce,
Mango everything.
Mango madness.
It's why some Florida establishments are accepting mangoes as a form of payment this summer season. At Zach the Baker in Miami, 6 mangoes will get you a $7 loaf of bread.
We get also a mango Danish, we're all about mango, and almond croissants, which she just loves.
Here at the bakery, the rule is 1 tray per day. But don't worry, there are plenty of other places ready to take your mangoes.
At Pier, a vegan ice cream shop, you can trade the fruit for a sweet treat.
Wow, a lot of mango flavor there.
Owner Valeria Alvarez.
We are promoting 5 pounds of mangoes in exchange for a small ice cream bowl with 2 toppings and a drizzle.
The Florida staple growing on trees had this duo teaming up to snag some low-hanging currency. Even the gators want a bite. It's also prompted run-ins with the law. This man was arrested after he pulled a gun on someone taking mangoes from his property.
It looks like the permission was for just 2 or 3 mangoes, and I guess they overstayed their permitted amount.
To avoid those issues, some Florida residents post signs like this and try to keep mango madness legally delicious. Cristian Benavides, CBS News, Miami.
You can't take mangoes off somebody else's tree. That's crazy. Florida's mango season runs from late May through October.
Where anything is possible and your most cherished dreams come true.
There's a new nighttime parade at Disney's Magic Kingdom. News 6 was at the debut of Disney's Starlight Dream the Night Away. It's the first regular nighttime parade at the park in almost 10 years. Starlight runs twice a night at 9 p.m. and 11. Don't forget, you can get the latest theme park news sent right to your email. Sign up for the In the Loop Theme Park Scoops newsletter at clickorlando.com/newsletters. And we're continuing to follow up on a lot of news across Central Florida today.
Everybody is supposed to pay in this city when they chop down a tree, but the mayor says his commission let a developer off the hook for almost $250,000 in tree fees. The controversy coming up.
First, though, we're staying on top of the end of a 1.5-year-long investigation into the death of a teen girl. Her mom's boyfriend now spending the rest of his life behind bars. We have reaction from family, loved ones, and attorneys. And your forecast is only minutes away. You can check out, there's some rain coming down. This is a live look at I-4 near the Seminole and Volusia County line. A little bit of a sheen on the road there. Don't forget, you can stream all of our newscasts for free anytime on News 6 Plus. And Jonathan Kegas is going to have a look at your forecast in just a few minutes.
And says that
You're weak. You're a coward. You crept into a family and exploited them when they were weak.
Now at 5, family and loved ones of Madeline Soto speaking directly to her killer today.
I have so much hatred in my heart, specifically for the creature that's sitting in this room today.
As Stephan Sterns learns he will spend the rest of his days behind bars.
And I apologize for all the pain.
It doesn't heal with time. This isn't like other deaths that I've experienced.
I love you, Madeline Soto, and I hope you're resting peacefully now.
News 6 at 5 starts right now. Stephan Sterns will be spending the rest of his life behind bars, pleading guilty and no contest to a number of charges related to the death of 13-year-old Madeline Soto from about a year and a half ago. We have team coverage from the Osceola County Courthouse with anchor Ginger Gadsden, investigator Mike DeForest, and Catherine Silver, who have the latest on today's court proceedings and the reaction from it. Ginger, let's start with you.
Yeah, Matt, it was really an emotional day in court. This grueling year-and-a-half case in the Stephan Sterns and the death of Madeline Soto is finally now over for this community. And as you said, Matt, Sterns will now spend the rest of his life in prison. That's what we were able to learn at this hearing today. Now, if you're relatively new to the area or haven't been following this case, Soto's mom arrived at the 13-year-old school to pick her up in February. This is February 2024. When the school told her Madeline never made it that morning, Sterns, who was dating Soto's mom, was the last person to see the teen, and he was supposed to drop her off at school that morning. Sterns was arrested later that month in connection with Madeline's disappearance. Her remains were then found in the woods in Kissimmee in early March of 2024. News 6 investigator Mike DeForest has been following and covering this case since Madeline first disappeared. And Mike, it's your dedication to this case. You have a 6-part YouTube series that talks about justice for Maddie and gives us a lot of details in this case. And it's because you were paying such close attention to the details that you noticed there was a status change. The hearing, the trial that was supposed to start tomorrow, there was something happening today. You noticed that.
That's right. Stephan Sterns was supposed to have 2 separate trials. One was supposed to begin tomorrow. They had already probably sent out jury notices to show up here. But you talk about the impact this has had on the community. That's why we did that series about this, is because people have been vested ever since Madeline Soto was first reported missing. And I think what spoke to it was the people who were up in the courtroom today. You saw it. Courtroom was packed with Madeline Soto's family and friends, also law enforcement, all in the back couple rows. But Ginger, what was noticeable, who was not in court today, was Madeline Soto's own mother. She was not there. We looked around, even talked to a couple people, did not see her there. Now, after a judge sentenced her former boyfriend, Stephan Sterns, to life in prison, Sterns actually addressed the court and talked about the teenage girl that prosecutors say he raped and murdered.
I have nothing but sorrow for her loss, and I miss her all the time. Her passing has torn me and my family apart as well, and she truly was a joy.
Now, as part of an agreement with prosecutors, Sterns pleaded no contest to murdering Soto, who was his girlfriend's daughter. Now, legally, no contest is the same thing as a guilty plea, but Sterns did not take responsibility for intentionally killing her. Prosecutors believe Sterns strangled the teen to death last year, then dumped her body in a wooded area near St. Cloud. Now, Sterns did plead guilty to 20 sex crimes, including sexual battery on a child. Shortly before the judge sentenced Sterns to life in prison without the possibility of parole, Madeline Soto's biological father addressed the judge and Sterns.
I can't grasp it. I can't grasp the selfishness of you, the deplorability of your actions. You're depraved. You're weak. You're a coward. You're a sneak thief. You crept into a family and took advantage and exploited them when they were weak.
The prosecutors originally announced that they would be seeking the death penalty for Soto's murder, but as part of today's plea deal, prosecutors agreed to withdraw the death penalty. The state also dropped about 40 criminal charges related to sexually explicit images of Soto that detectives say they found on Sterns' cell phone. Now, besides Soto's father, as we mentioned, there were lots of family and friends. Some of them actually spoke to the judge very tearfully. Madeline Soto's maternal grandmother, the prosecutor read a statement from her, but no statement from Madeline Soto's own mother. She was absent today in this hearing.
And people were asking, where is her mom and why haven't we heard from her in this case? And Mike, you mentioned, we saw a lot of law enforcement in this courtroom today, and I sat on the very back row and next to a law enforcement officer who was kind of watching the door, who's coming in and out. And when Sterns was speaking, I trained my eyes on him just to see what his reaction was, and it was disbelief as to what he was saying. And also, we went down the elevator when it was all over, and I said, I saw your reaction, what did you think? And he's like, no accountability was his answer. No accountability.
Even with life in prison, no accountability, because they want to hear him take responsibility for it.
Exactly. All right, Mike DeForest, thank you for that. Okay, so while we were both inside the courtroom, there was a third member of our News 6 team, Catherine Silver, who was outside, and she was getting reaction from people who were watching this case and listening closely. But you were able, Kat, to speak with the attorney representing Madeline's biological dad. How did she say he felt about today's outcome?
Well, Ginger, she called today's hearing a step towards closure and said that is what Maddie's family hopes to get out of this plea agreement, rather than deal with the pain of a trial and the lengthy appeals process that often comes with death penalty cases. Now, I spoke with attorney Deborah Barra outside the courthouse here, who also happens to be a former state prosecutor. She says the family feels there is no legal difference between the plea of no contest versus guilty to the murder charge, and that Maddie's father ultimately feels the outcome is the same regardless. Stephan Sterns will spend the rest of his life in prison.
In a case like this, there's never going to be any joy or happiness. There's not going to be a resolution where everybody is like, that's great. But it is a matter of, well, what can you live with? And what does it mean for the family? And what does it mean for Maddie, quite honestly, moving forward?
And we did ask where the family goes from here, and she told us she really doesn't know the answer to that question. But she did say that Maddie's father does plan to speak more on her behalf in the future. He just was not ready after an emotional afternoon at that hearing. We heard a lot today from Maddie's loved ones that they do not want this abuse to define her. Ginger, back to you.
And her father not wanting to speak today is pretty understandable, because this is such a horrific thing that he has had to go through. Catherine, thank you. Now, in the last hour, State Attorney Monique Worrell released a statement on Sterns' sentencing, saying, in part, quote, "I want to extend my deepest condolences to the Soto family and everyone who loved Madeline. Her life was stolen in a senseless act of violence, and the pain of that loss is immeasurable. Our office conducted a meticulous review of this case, and every step we took was in close consultation with Madeline's family." And of course, this is not the end of the story. We, of course, will have more reporting on this coming your way at 6 o'clock, but you can always find the latest on our digital platforms, including clickorlando.com. Matt, I'll send it back to you in the studio.
A lot of emotion in that courtroom, I'm sure, today. Ginger, Mike, Catherine, thank you all. News 6 has covered this case from the very beginning. You can go back and watch how the entire investigation unfolded right now at clickorlando.com YouTube page. We put a link there on the homepage of clickorlando.com. Breaking news now. A man is behind bars accused in a Daytona Beach shooting earlier today. Investigators say a fight broke out, escalated, and Nathan Lee pulled out a gun and shot it at somebody multiple times. One of those bullets hit the victim. Investigators say another bullet went through a wall and hit a second victim. Both are in the hospital. It's unclear how they're doing right now. Lee is being held without bond in the Volusia County Jail. State troopers get their first break toward finding a driver who ran over a woman taking a walk, and then that driver didn't even stop. Our community correspondent James Sparvero has been trying to get updates daily since this terrifying hit and run was caught on camera on Arabella Lane in Port St. John earlier this month. 9 days since the crash, that 55-year-old neighbor is out of the hospital, now recovering from some pretty bad injuries at home. James spoke with the victim's friend this afternoon.
Last Monday, after my first report on this story, the FHP gave us a new picture of the car they were looking for. Initially, they told us the old Honda Accord may have been gold or silver. You can see in the new picture it was clearly gold. And then today, the FHP updated us again that 9 days since the hit and run, they found this car. And this is very encouraging news to the victim's family and friends, like Vicky here.
Yes.
Vicky, you told me that she came home on Saturday. She's recovering now.
She is.
How's she doing inside the house?
She's good. She's sleeping in a chair with her foot up, full neck brace on, learning to get around the house on a walker right now. She's got 2 plates in her foot, and she'll need that removed in the future. And then she'll do a follow-up on her neck to see if she needs surgery on the 3 breaks in her neck.
So physically, it sounds like she's improving. What about her mental state right now? It's hard to watch that video over and over again.
It is, and she's watched it several times. She said she can handle the flying through the air. It's the part seeing herself laying there in the driveway. I think it's probably gonna haunt all of us, her granddaughter, all of us, for a long time.
What do you think she would say to this person?
Whoa, that's a hard one. To think that someone left her for dead, it's hard to imagine the character of that person.
And since the state troopers have the car now, do you think it's just a matter of time before they identify and find that driver?
I believe it is. It'll put some closure on that phase of it, and she can begin healing herself.
And the FHP says it's still collecting more evidence in this investigation. We'll let you know when we have our next update. In Port St. John, Brevard County, I'm your community correspondent, James Sparvero, News 6.
Still to come, people in one city on the hook for hundreds of thousands of dollars for a development. Next at 5, why an agreement reached nearly a decade ago lets this builder off the hook. Jonathan.
We're tracking a few thunderstorms tomorrow. I think we're going to be tracking many more as we are transitioning from the heat from this past weekend to a stormier pattern. We're going to break that down and put that timeline into action for you coming up at about 5:17.
You're watching News 6 at 5. We'll be right back.
Today's Port Canaveral Cam is sponsored by Launch Credit Union.
Tonight, a growing controversy in the city of Winter Springs all over tree fees. talking $250,000. City commissioners voted not to charge a developer for mowing down hundreds more trees. That was last month. And then this month, commissioners met again to discuss changing their minds, claiming they should have never voted in the first place, even challenging each other's ethics. Winter Springs community correspondent Eric Von Anken is digging into this back and forth.
The controversy centers around this corner of 434 in Winter Springs and what used to be here, trees cut down to make room for all of this. Winter Springs, like so many cities, charges an arbor fee.
This money is going to replace those trees in other parts of the city.
But the mayor disagrees with most of his commissioners over how much money the developer originally agreed to pay.
The $149,000 was paid.
The developer argued at last month's city commission meeting it had already paid up $149,000, according to a 2017 agreement, to cover all arbor fees for all current and future phases of the project, and was shocked when the city demanded another $227,000. The city's attorney warned commissioners the original agreement did not cover additional development.
You waive it here, they're going to come back for the next portion and say that, you know, they're entitled to the same waiver.
Still, the majority of commissioners,
Commissioner Caruso,
aye,
voted to remove the additional arbor fee of nearly $250,000. So the mayor took to Facebook with a post that got more than 60 comments, calling the vote a dangerous precedent and calling out his commissioners. He wrote, quote, each of the commissioners who voted for the fee removal held private meetings with representatives of the project.
And I regret the way that may have come across.
Mayor, you basically put it out there to the community that you're challenging our ethics.
The commission claimed they were bullied by the developer into voting last month and admitted they should have waited.
The whole thing is ambiguous. The whole thing smells on both sides.
No, we should have postponed the vote, is what we should have.
Yes, exactly.
We never should have held that vote.
So what happens now? Well, ultimately, the commission decided to bring all of this up again at their next commission meeting here in August, even possibly rescinding their original vote, even under threat of lawsuit from the developer, to which the mayor replied, bring it. By the way, I should tell you, I did an interview for about 15 minutes each with both the mayor and Commissioner Victoria Bruce here today at City Hall. I put those interviews unedited for you with all of my questions right now on clickorlando.com inside this story. I'm your Winter Springs community correspondent, Eric Von Anken, News 6.
What a story. You needed a tree to sit under over the weekend, I could tell you that.
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
we've got meteorologist Jonathan Kegas joining us now. Still some showers out there in
Yes.
spots, huh?
In spots, yeah. We're fading the ones we were tracking earlier that were hanging out around I-4 and sliding off to the east. At least we're losing a lot of the lightning, a little bit of that oomph with those storms pushing toward the I-95 corridor. The one I still have my eye on is the one that I've been keeping a close eye on it for our friends in Ocala and through Denellen. We were watching the bigger lightning strikes come on through. Some of the lighter rain in and around Denellen. And by the way, you can track these storms alongside us by downloading the free News 6 weather app. Great interactive radar tool on there that you can put your location on there and track those storms right to you. Now we're watching the nastier stuff that really fire up around Ocala. Let me pause the loop for you so we can show you exactly where these storms are. Early heads up in Bellevue. You can likely hear the thunder. We have the very heavy rain on the north side of town. Ocala, we are getting hammered with the heavy rain. A lot of lightning associated with this one as well. There's nothing severe, but the wind is going to be gusty and the rain is going to be very, very heavy. Denellen, this one's missing us just to the east. We just have some light rain in town, but still the lightning around. Too close for comfort, so just make sure you're taking it easy out there. Don't go outside at the present moment because the lightning is still too close. That News 6 weather app, by the way, gives you free lightning detection as well in the palm of your hand. Titusville, we're hanging around 95. It feels like 109 out there. 88 at the Cape, 102 in Claremont. Again, we were talking about that last week, the importance of the heat index. The more humidity there is in the atmosphere, the harder it is for your body to cool itself. But some relief is in sight in the form of extra clouds and more widespread rain. It's because of this cold front that's hanging off the Carolina coastline right now. This massive clouds is another disturbance developing as a result of that as well. You can already see some of the added thunderstorm chances and thunderstorms that are ongoing toward Jacksonville and what we have in Central Florida right now. But it's going to be that persistent stream off of the Atlantic over the next couple of days that are really going to keep our storm chances elevated. Pinpointing that for you right here by 9 o'clock, I think most of this stuff that we have out there now is winding down. early in the morning tomorrow. I would not be surprised if from about the Villages to Daytona Beach, this is filling in a little bit more than what future radar is showing, because we're going to have that persistent onshore flow around that area of low pressure. Scattered thunderstorms then really try to erupt. There's lunchtime to 1 o'clock. So again, I do think we are going to have a different kind of look and feel to what we're used to anyway, and certainly what the weekend was, with storms erupting on the early side of the day. That's 3 o'clock, and then lasting to the early afternoon. Topsy-turvy rain chances, as I do think, again, by 7, 8 o'clock, there will still be a few thunderstorms out there, just not as widespread as what we've seen certainly in the past and what we're typically used to. High temperatures tomorrow. It's still hot, but certainly it's better than the mid to upper 90s, upper 80s and lower 90s, rain chances at 70%. And again, that is the sole reason why those storm chances are lower. Tropically speaking, we're looking good. That that area of investigation, Hurricane Center highlighted this weekend at 10%. There's a ton of dry air. The Atlantic is very stable right now. A lot of wind shear out there as well. Anything that tries to get going meets a very quick demise. That's what we like. 70% shot for storms Tuesday into Wednesday. Temperatures bump up a little bit by the end of this work week because rain chances, Matt, heading into the upcoming weekend, on their way back down again.
Thank you, Jonathan. Still to come after the break, how one community is working to make two kinds of public transportation more in sync. And we're keeping an eye on the Space Coast tonight, where a Falcon 9 rocket set to carry a pair of communication satellites. That's supposed to come in about 7 minutes. Volusia County leaders are set to vote on funding to keep Sunrail on the tracks. Volusia County leaders are set to discuss a $1.2 million funding issue to keep Sunrail running in the upcoming fiscal year. It's part of a larger $1.7 billion spending plan leaders will review during tomorrow's meeting there. If you're interested in voicing your opinion at tomorrow's meeting, it begins at 4 at the County Administration Building in DeLand. If you can't make it, we'll also stream the whole thing at clickorlando.com. Sunrail.com. And while officials will discuss keeping Sunrail up and running in Volusia, city officials in DeLand are they're partnering with Sunrail and Votran to make transit more accessible. Volusia County community correspondent Angie Casada gives us a look at the new circulator service and why it hits close to home.
A new way to ride is making waves in West Volusia. The Sunrail circulator in DeLand is officially back, now running all day in a full-size Votran bus. The circulator, known as Route 34, now runs Monday through Friday, during peak hours from 6 in the morning to 9 a.m. and again in the afternoons from 5 to 7. It makes stops from Amelia Avenue through the Sunrail station and into downtown DeLand. Off-peak, the route runs directly between the station and the heart of the city.
Oh, you're wonderful, the best.
We're just trying to keep the public's needs at the forefront of all of our plans for the future. We're trying to provide the best service we possibly can.
According to the latest Sunrail report, ridership on Votran circulator is just starting to pick up. The service started small, using a paratransit van in the afternoons. But after a switch to full-day service in a regular bus, officials say they expect ridership to keep climbing. Something really interesting that Votran is doing is you can actually text the bus with the stop number to get a ride. This month marks 50 years of Votran serving Volusia County, and for me, it's a full circle moment. I still remember waiting for the bus with my backpack on, hoping I didn't miss it, and today seeing those riders get on the bus, it's more than transportation, it's access, running through the heart of Volusia County. In DeLand, I'm your Volusia County community correspondent, Angie Casada, News 6.
Well, the school year is starting at 2 places in Central Florida already. We're talking to parents about what they think about year-round school. How's it working out? And we'll introduce you to the new head honcho of the Orlando Solar Bears. He's going to be making a lot of big decisions. Plus, the ecosystem being rebuilt under Central Florida's surface.
Event. Select owners can lease the GB80 for $429 per month or get 2.99% APR exclusively at your Central Florida Genesis retailers.
Attention homeowners, time is running out to call Best Choice Roofing to take advantage of our triple savings sale. Best Choice Roofing is your Owens Corning Platinum Preferred contractor, installing high-performance roofing built with architectural shingles, Energy Star rated, made in the USA, and backed with the best warranties. Last chance during this program to call and save 3 ways. First, receive 50% off installation of a complete roofing system. Second, ask about 0% interest financing options, senior military discounts. Third, receive a $200 Lowe's gift card with your roofing purchase. And last chance to call during this program for the bonus. Receive a free $50 gas card with your free in-home estimate. Call us here in Orlando at 1-800-244-2195. Here's the number again, 1-800-244-2195.
A large touchscreen keeps everyone happy. The Subaru Crosstrek. Dog tested, dog approved.
Get 1.9% APR financing on select new 2025 Subaru Crosstrek models. Going on now.
I'm attorney Justin Clark. We have saved millions of dollars for people with their student loan debt, but things are changing.
Well, we are following several top stories right now. Stephan Sterns will spend the rest of his life in prison for the murder of Madeline Soto. That 13-year-old was first reported missing in February of last year when she didn't show up to school. Investigators found her body a few days later. They think Sterns sexually assaulted her and killed her. Sterns pleaded no contest to the first-degree murder charge, yet pled guilty on nearly 24 other sex crimes. Investigators in Brevard County confirmed they have found the car tied to a hit and run earlier this month. It's a 2004 gold Honda Accord. Investigators say whoever was driving it hit a 55-year-old woman who was just walking down the street in Port St. John. The woman has been out of the hospital now and is recovering from some pretty bad injuries at home. The father of a little boy who's on the autism spectrum, who accidentally shot himself in the head late last month, is behind bars tonight. Dexter Neal is being charged with child neglect and is being held on a $20,000 bond. The child was airlifted to Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children, where he had surgery. Eustis police say he is currently recovering at a rehab facility. Well, almost all of Central Florida has a few weeks left to prepare for the first day of school. Kids at 2 schools, they're going back already. Students at Challenger 7 Elementary in Port St. John went back to school today. Kids at Wyomina Park Elementary return tomorrow as both schools gear up for round 2 of their year-round school pilot programs. Marion County community correspondent Emily McLeod talks to parents and school leaders about this new schedule ahead of the first day of school.
You can feel the energy in the hallways here at Wyomina Park Elementary School as they gear up for the first day back, but you might be thinking, it feels a little early for kids to be going back to school. It's July. Well, that's because Wyomina Park Elementary School is the only school in the Marion County Public School District that's participating in a pilot program for year-round school.
Tuesday marks the first day of school for students at Wyomina Park Elementary School.
Hi, welcome back. I missed you.
The school hosting a back-to-school event on Monday for students and their families, where kids could meet their teacher, pick up a free backpack, and get a free haircut ahead of the first day. Patricia Alston brought her grandson, King David Smith, who's heading into first grade.
What does this event mean to you?
It means a lot. It takes the stress off your family, and you get to meet the teachers, and the kids know that you mean business, and they're coming to learn, and they're enjoying themselves today, and he's too excited. Look at him.
Wyomina Park is entering its second year of the year-round school pilot program. Alston is a fan of the new schedule.
I think they should make all the schools this way. It's excellent.
During the first year of the pilot program, the school's grade did drop a couple of points, but school administrators are ready to change that this year.
We're coming back this year really focused and focusing on what we had learned from the previous school year, and we're excited about being able to leverage this pilot in order to continue student achievement.
However, while the school's overall grade did not improve, Principal Victoria Hunt says student behavior did.
It's easier for them to transition back and then have those breaks throughout the school year. So that has been a really great thing for us. We've been able to reduce our referral rate and out of school suspension rates, and we're really excited about that.
I'm your Marion County community correspondent, Emily McLeod, News 6.
Well, the father of a little boy who's on the autism spectrum who accidentally shot himself in the head late last month is behind bars tonight. Dexter Neal is being charged with child neglect. An arrest report shows he says he slept with the boy often as a way to keep him calm. Frequently, he has outbursts, apparently, and that night Neal said he slept with one of his guns under his pillow right next to the little boy and forgot it was there in the morning. Neal said he got up to use the bathroom when his son shot himself. Neal told police he always keeps guns accessible as a means of self-defense and always has a round in the chamber. He typically doesn't sleep with a gun in the bed. He's being held on a $20,000 bond. That child was airlifted to Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children, where he had surgery. Eustis police say he's currently recovering at a rehab facility. Pools across Central Florida were crowded this weekend with the intense heat, but that led to a tragedy in East Orange County in a neighborhood there. The Orange County Sheriff's Office tells us deputies were called to a home on Fairway Point Circle in a community just west of Avalon Park around 3 yesterday afternoon. Officials say a man in his 50s was swimming with his family in a pool. He was found unresponsive, face down in the water. A friend pulled him from the water, performed CPR before first responders could arrive. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. This is what's left of a mobile home after a fire broke out around 6:15 this morning. Investigators say that fire burst through the house, completely just engulfing the thing. And they were able to get out quickly. While no people were injured, investigators say a dog and a bird were not so fortunate in this. The cause of the fire still under investigation. A fire marshal added the family only had one smoke alarm in the house and it didn't go off. Officials are reminding people to check their smoke alarms at least once a month and replace the batteries every year. Well, a new era is underway for Orlando Solar Bears, who introduced their new head coach today. Sports director Jamie Say spoke with him just earlier. Hey, Jamie.
I did. Hey, Matt. Yeah, it was great to talk to him. You know, Coach Matt McDonald, he's the new coach and general manager of the Orlando Solar Bears. So he's going to make all the big decisions as he tries to turn the Solar Bears from a perennial playoff team to a Kelly Cup champion. McDonald, his wife Erin, daughter Hazel, and son Max were introduced in Central Florida today at the Solar Bears Ice Den in Maitland. Then he got on the ice with young players at the Solar Bears hockey camp. There was like 100 kids there. McDonald comes to Orlando with a long resume. He spent the last 7 years as an assistant coach in the AHL, and before that he was the head coach of the ECHL team in Cincinnati.
I expect guys to go out there and make sure that they're representing the Orlando Solar Bears in the best way possible, not only at the rink, but away from the rink and in the community that we know supports us so greatly here. And we're very fortunate to have the fan base that we do. So that's the biggest things for me coming in. And if they do that, we're going to have success. But if they don't, then they're not going to be here very long.
Yeah, so I had asked Coach McDonald about his philosophy, and he said you control what you control, your attitude and your effort. And Matt, here's another fun fact about Matt McDonald. So he's 42 years old. I covered him over 20 years ago when he was a college hockey player at St. Lawrence University. I was
and
a
you
young...
were in elementary school.
No, unfortunately. No, I was a young sports reporter in northern New York. He was on that St. Lawrence team that I used to cover.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it until after the fact, but it's really a full circle moment for me. That somebody I used to cover when they were a player in college as a teenager
is now coaching.
Is now a head coach. I'm getting older than the head coaches.
I feel you. I'm in the same boat.
But you know, they made a great choice, and the Solar Bears, you know, they're a perennial playoff team. They're looking to get over the hump.
You
and
can
make
tell
a play
that
for
guy used to play some hockey.
Absolutely.
He just has that look about him. Don't
yes,
mess
he does.
with him.
He's got that look.
Yeah. All right,
Yep.
Jamie Say, thank you so much. All right, Jonathan Kegas, I hear things beeping. I think we have a severe thunderstorm warning in some part of our viewing area. Jonathan, tell me what's going on over there.
You are correct. Yeah, Marion County. This is the cell I was watching for you guys. About 15 minutes ago, they got it flared up. It's going to include Ocala here. You'll notice the yellow box. Perk up here. That's going to be the severe thunderstorm warning polygon. This is going to go until about 6:15, so Bellevue early heads up. Wildwood and the Villages, we are not included in this warning. I would not be surprised if it is extended because we have a new cell kind of popping up around Wildwood and into the Villages. Again, you can get all of these alerts by downloading the free News 6 weather app. Of course, if you were in this area, you got the severe thunderstorm warning. And certainly before that, you got the heads up that rain was on the way as this thing continues to work its way out of Ocala. I think the worst part of this now, that deep dark purple there. I'll turn off all the lightning and so we can actually see the cell here. Let me take you back to where this thing actually is as we kind of moved out of the central part of the area. That yellow box there, you see all the lightning. I'll turn that back off, and we're going to zoom back in. Also just popping up a flood advisory, again, indicating that we have had very, very heavy rain, as we were talking about earlier. But again, early heads up in Bellevue. The worst of this storm is pretty much on our doorstep here. I'm going to continue to watch this. We're going to have much more on this storm the rest of the evening, and then a very stormy couple of days coming up at about 5:47.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, there was a time when oyster reefs took up a significant portion of the Indian River, but because of overharvesting, pollution, and erosion, most of them are now gone. Now scientists are trying to bring them back. News 6's Paul Giorgio was there as researchers checked in on one of those reefs, and he shows us why they're so important to the river's health.
We know that oysters have been in this area and been part of the human diet in this area for over 1,000 years, which is really cool.
Hope Leonard has her eyes on the past.
They're amazing creatures.
But her focus is on the future.
You know, every little bit helps.
She's knee-deep in the Indian River, where hope isn't just her name, it's what drives her.
Yes, you always have to have hope. That is my name, and gotta live by it.
The Conservation Restoration Coordinator with Restore Our Shores is leading a year-long survey of oyster health in the river.
72.
Oyster reefs once covered much of the Indian River Lagoon.
To the right.
But overharvesting and declining water quality have drastically reduced oyster populations and reef structures.
Thank you.
As part of the study,
Got all that good lagoon algae on there.
Leonard and her team place clean oyster shells in the water monthly to attract oyster larvae called spat.
This was blank when we put it out, so it would look like this.
The spat settle on the shells and grow into new oysters.
And then if you look here, we have an oyster here, here, here. It's looking like there's a little bit less than 40 on here. So just on this side, and then if you turn it over, there's even more.
Good news for a river system that's struggled with nutrient pollution and algae blooms. So why is what's happening here so important? Well, studies show one oyster, little guy like this, can filter 50 gallons of water in one day. Now imagine what tens of thousands can do over time.
Can we actually see like where the water would come in and where it would come out? And
So
it comes in dirty and goes out clean?
So we actually can. You can kind of see this opening here. So this shell is no longer has an oyster in it, but they would open just very, very slightly like that, pull in water, and then they would digest it, and then they would push the water out through their siphon, and that water would come out free of algae and nutrients.
Clean and clear.
Clean and clear.
Leonard says it will take more than oysters to return the river to what it once was. But with a little hope, we'll get there.
I do think that being hopeful can really just help move and progress you forward with your ideas and your mentality. And I think it can help to make you more creative in looking for solutions.
Paul Giorgio, News 6.
Well, Restore Our Shores has been restoring oyster reefs for more than 15 years now. They've helped create about 100 oyster beds up and down the river. Great story there. Well, there always seems to be road work going around the theme parks, especially on I-4, trying to bring some relief to those busy roads. The similar projects officials want to happen further on in I-4. And don't forget, you can watch local news and weather 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the News 6 Plus streaming app. The best part, it's all free. Search WKMG in your smart TV's app store. It's also on Roku, Apple, and Fire. Taking a live look at the roads. You're looking live here, I-4 near Lake Monroe, right near the Seminole and Volusia County line. And it's right here where Volusia County leaders are looking to alleviate the traffic by asking FDOT to speed up its timeline for the Beyond the Ultimate I-4 project. It would bring many of the upgrades seen in the Orlando area to this stretch of I-4, like widening the roads and beefing up the interchanges. Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed breaks down why leaders are asking for the timeline shift.
If you drive between Sanford and Volusia County here regularly, you know to expect almost standstill traffic once you hit the St. Johns River at several points throughout today. Volusia County leaders here know it is getting much worse, and that's why they're asking FDOT to start its portion of its I-4 project here much sooner.
It's important. I mean, it connects us to where most people actually go to work, unfortunately, right?
Many residents in western Volusia County commute each day to work in Seminole and Orange counties. Deltona leaders at their meeting tonight are going to vote on a resolution to support expediting projects that would alleviate the I-4 traffic.
So the number one intention is to say, hey, we support getting this passed, getting this fast-tracked. We want to be able to reduce traffic in the city of Deltona.
Seminole County in April voted on a similar resolution. Now Deltona is hoping to join in on the effort to put pressure on the state.
Deltona, Volusia is still part of Central Florida, so let's kind of bring some of that attention up here.
Now FDOT says expanding the bridge over the St. Johns River is a priority, but it also says it knows it needs to expand the lanes here on I-4, including adding express lanes and revamp the exit and entrance ramps here throughout western Volusia County. So where do these projects actually stand right now? FDOT says a study was last reevaluated in 2016 and 2017 based on 2011 traffic data, and at the time it came up with solutions based on that. With that study now outdated, the state says it's using a newer 2022 study to come up with new ideas. It's currently in the process of hiring a design engineer to create new conceptual plans for traffic solutions.
Just adding an extra lane on both sides going east and
You gotta think about it, it's always busy, you know, from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's like constant traffic.
Now, FDOT says these projects will be done in phases. It says it'll have a better update on the timeline and the project costs once those designs are created. I'm your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
All right, we're still dealing with that brutal heat and some pretty intense thunderstorms in parts. Jonathan Kegas, tell us what's going on.
That's right, just a couple. We had a more widespread thunderstorms about an hour ago. Those have since fizzled out, but I've been keeping an eye on this cell around Marion County throughout the really southern half of Marion County now. This moved out of Denellen and really exploded here as it moved over parts of Ocala. You see all the lightning again, that gold box, that goldish yellow box that popped up. That is the active severe thunderstorm warning that remains in play tonight until 6:15 as this continues to sag down closer toward us in Bellevue, kind of in between a couple of cells, developing on the thunderstorm outflow, some of that cooler rain-cooled air. We have more storms firing up around the villages, so this is an early heads up. Not a warning in Fruitland Park or Leesburg, but we do have some thunderstorms working its way back down from north to south. I'm going to pause the loop here. Again, the worst of this is just getting into Bellevue as we speak, working its way down toward the Ocala National Forest. Eventually, the main threat with this is going to be damaging wind gusts, also some very heavy rain. You also see this green box that encompasses Ocala and areas just south of Reddick. Also about an inch to an inch and a half of rain has fallen in a short amount of time. So some minor flooding also going to be possible with this as it continues to make its way from the northwest down to the southeast. Again, early heads up in the villages, Fruitland Park, Umatilla, Eustis, Tavares. If these can hold together, and this is kind of some untapped air, so some untapped energy to use, this likely will continue to be working its way south and east over the next hour or so. I'll be keeping a close eye on this for you, but for the short term here and the very short term, wanted to give you guys a heads up on Ocklawaha as well as wind gusts potentially up to 60 miles an hour, some small hail, and again, some very torrential rain. I'll turn the lightning back on for you so you can see all of those lightning strikes. Just with this cell alone, 153 strikes. You can see that on the lightning counter over my shoulder here as this continues to work its way slowly from the northwest to the southeast tonight. This kind of transition out of the heat is brought to you by a disturbance off our coast. Again, Matt mentioned it. It's hot across most of central Florida, although that is where we have seen some improvements because of that nasty thunderstorm. It's now 79 degrees in Ocala. It's still 92 in Cocoa Beach with that heat index of about 108. This kind of pattern change that we're going to be dealing with over the next 24 hours is a cold front stalled to our north closer to Jacksonville. You see this spin off of our coast, though. That is going to be that another disturbance developing along that front that's going to continue to send unsettled weather in our direction. So starting like late tomorrow morning, we're going to see another round of thunderstorms likely slide through. Now here's a look at tomorrow.
Your forecast is sponsored by Publix.
It's, of course, still hot tomorrow, but it's going to be a big change from this weekend. Highs in the upper 80s and lower 90s. Rain chances spike up to 70%. We get those clouds early tomorrow afternoon. We also get those rain chances early tomorrow afternoon. I'll show you future radar coming up at about 6:17 as we clear that warning. But again, expect storms around lunch, if not even a couple of hours before that tomorrow. Rain chances still holding very high on Wednesday, dropping a little bit on Thursday. And then we'll get back into a little bit of a drier pattern as we start the upcoming weekend, Matt.
Jonathan, thank you. After the break, see the heroic moments neighbor. Well, you saw it if you stuck with us during a commercial break around 5:30. SpaceX aborted the launch of 2 satellites for a Luxembourg-based company from our Space Coast while the rocket was on the pad there. They'll try to launch the mission again 5:12 tomorrow afternoon is what they're shooting for. Last weekend, a small plane crashed into a neighborhood near Hollywood, Florida. The first people to respond to the wreck weren't first responders, but neighbors and a detective who happened to be in the right place at the right time. Katie Bente with our CBS affiliate in West Palm has the remarkable life-saving story.
It went over, you know, I was kind of expecting the worst, just being in this field, in this business, and seeing the way the plane was.
Detective Scott Hanley, a 23-year veteran of Boca Raton Police, had just dropped off his grandkids when a Cessna came falling from the sky, slamming into a tree in a Pembroke Pines neighborhood.
You hear this loud crash, and first thing they said is, wow, there's a plane in the neighbor's yard.
Is the plane on fire?
Yeah, there is some fire. Inside that plane, a family of 4. Pilot Carlos Balza Cardenas, his wife Fandy Moretz, and their 2 teenage daughters.
The first thing I saw was the gentleman that was in the plane. He was kind of standing in an upright position with his back kind of against the window, kind of hitting it and kind of screaming frantically to kind of like, get us out of here, get us out of here.
Neighbors grabbed whatever they could, a fire extinguisher, a garden hose, and one man handed Hanley an axe.
Oh my God, they're trying to get him out of the plane.
I just took it a few times, hit the window shatters on the top, and we were able to get the gentleman out. I could see there was a female in the front, and she was kind of down on the ground lower, and she was kind of semi-conscious.
Police say the family had been flying home from the Caribbean, but just moments before landing at North Perry Airport in Brevard County, the pilot reportedly lost engine thrust and never got a mayday out. Still, through chance, instinct, and something close to a miracle, all 4 survived.
The fact that you have a community of people who, without hesitation, came out and were, you know, putting their lives at risk and in danger for people they never met before.
The NTSB is now investigating from Jacksonville, trying to figure out what went wrong in the sky. But on the ground, what went right saved lives.
Well, our top story, if you're just joining us, is the sentencing of Stephan Sterns. He will spend the rest of his life in prison for the murder of 13-year-old Madeline Soto. We're walking you through how we got to this point coming up. And minutes ago, we got an update related to this viral video of a violent traffic stop in Jacksonville, why the sheriff says no criminal laws were violated. And a surf instructor bitten by a shark at a Volusia County beach. A closer look at why his diet is key to his recovery. Now at 6, the family of Madeline Soto unloading on her killer.
I have so much hatred in my heart, specifically for the creature that's sitting in this room today. A life sentence is not punishment enough for what he did to Maddie.
You crept into a family and took advantage and exploited them when they were weak.
We have team coverage following the sentencing of Stephan Sterns, plus a major lead in a hit-and-run case that left a 55-year-old woman hurt.
To think that someone left her for dead, it's hard to imagine the character of that person.
And
everybody is supposed to pay in this city when they chop down a tree, but the mayor says his commission let a developer off the hook for almost $250,000 in tree fees. The controversy coming up.
News 6 at 6 starts right now.
And we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for our friends in Marion County. I'm watching this closely for Ocala, although the worst of this is now pushing out of Ocala. The worst is pretty much over Bellevue, heading towards Ocklawaha tonight. That severe thunderstorm warning going to roll until about 6:15 tonight. Also watching some nasty weather, potentially close to getting a warning near Wildwood into the Villages, eventually Fruitland Park, as well as some nasty storms roll through the I-75 corridor. Again, that warning goes until 6:15. I'll be watching it through the duration of the warning, Matt.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Let's get you right to that high-profile sentencing. Stephan Sterns will spend the rest of his life in prison for the rape and murder of his then-girlfriend's 13-year-old daughter. Madeline Soto was reported missing in February of last year. Sterns, who's right here, was actually a part of the search party supposedly looking for her. We have team coverage of this case that has gotten a ton of national attention. We have Mike DeForest, who's been following this case very closely from the beginning. Catherine Silver has reaction, but we begin with anchor Ginger Gadsden. She is live outside the courthouse for us. Ginger?
Yeah, Matt, as you mentioned, Sterns pleaded no contest to first-degree murder and guilty to 20 sex offenses, including sexual battery of a child right here at the Osceola County Courthouse earlier today. It happened this afternoon. He, as you also said, will spend the rest of his life in prison without the possibility of parole for the rape and murder of 13-year-old Madeline Soto. I want to bring in now our News 6 investigator, Mike DeForest, who's been working on this case for more than a year and a half now. Mike, and it was your keen eye Friday night that caught there was some sort of change in this case. The case was supposed to start Tuesday, but you noticed trial, but you noticed something was happening today. But we both were in that courtroom today, and we were looking for one person in particular.
That's right. The courtroom was packed, as you saw. Lots of law enforcement, lots of family and friends of Madeline Soto. But who was noticeably absent was Madeline's mother, Jennifer Soto. She's been a focus of this investigation from the beginning. Never charged with any crimes with anything related to it, but nonetheless, she was not there, which I think surprised a lot of people. Meanwhile, Stephan Sterns, the man who is now being sentenced to life in prison for this crime, well, he actually did speak.
I've prayed to God countless times to trade places with her, to take me instead.
Moments after a judge sentenced Stephan Sterns to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the murder of 13-year-old Madeline Soto, Sterns spoke out about the girl prosecutors say he raped for years and then strangled to death.
And I miss her all the time. Her passing has torn me and my family apart as well. And she truly was a joy.
As part of an agreement with prosecutors, Sterns pleaded no contest to murdering Soto, who was his girlfriend's daughter. Legally, no contest is the same as a guilty plea, but Sterns did not take responsibility for intentionally killing Soto. Yet he did plead guilty to 20 sex crimes, including sexual battery on a child. By pleading to crimes that carry a life sentence, prosecutors agreed to drop their pursuit of the death penalty against Sterns.
It just gets worse every time I rethink about it and the true horror of what this man visited upon her.
Tyler Wallace, who is Madeline Soto's biological father, did not live in the same state as his daughter as she was growing up, but he says he became closer to Soto in the months before her death.
You're depraved. You're weak. You're a coward. You're a sneak thief. You crept into a family and took advantage and exploited them when they were weak.
Besides Madeline Soto's father there, prosecutors read a statement from her maternal grandmother. There were also several family members and friends who spoke in court. Very tearful testimony from them about Madeline's death. But again, the one who was not there today, the one who I think a lot of folks wanted to hear from, was Madeline Soto's mother, Jennifer. She was a no-show in court today. No statement from her.
Yeah, and people are still wondering why, and hopefully we'll get some answers moving forward, so this case can have even more closure to it, but hopefully they got some of that today. Mike, thank you. All right, we want to turn our attention now to News 6 reporter Catherine Silver, who's also covering this case. And Catherine, you are talking to attorneys who represent the biological dad. There are some questions as to whether this family really agrees with what happened today with this agreement.
Right, and I had the opportunity to ask that attorney right after Stephan Sterns was sentenced how Maddie's father feels about the statement that he made in court today. Here's what she had to say on the family's behalf.
I can't speak for them. I can tell you that I thought it was disgusting. I did not take that as an apology. I took that as he misses her. For whatever motive or reason, he misses her, and I was disgusted by it. But again, I'm not speaking for them when I say that.
Now that is Deborah Berra. She also happens to be a well-known former prosecutor. She's now representing Maddie's father. He declined to speak with us directly after today's hearing. It was an emotional afternoon for him, understandably. But Berra says that he has come to terms with the conclusion of his daughter's case. I asked her specifically about Sterns' plea of no contest to Maddie's murder.
Obviously, with a trial coming out, and the sex crimes trial was going to be starting on Tuesday, that's a lot of videos. It's their little girl, and I think he recognizes that Stephan Sterns is going to die in prison. The death penalty is you die in prison, and he is not getting out ever. And I think that he understands that, and he understands the trade-off in terms of, okay, he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison, and my little girl does not have to essentially go through this.
Berra says that Maddie's family also did not want to deal with the often lengthy appeals process that comes with death penalty cases. She called today's hearing a step towards closure. Ginger?
Yeah, it is a case that has rocked this community, so hopefully they will get the closure they are seeking after today's hearing. Catherine, thank you. And we've been following the
Yeah, as Ginger was saying, we've been following this heartbreaker of a case since the very beginning. News 6 investigator Mike DeForest, who you heard from earlier, launched a 6-part mini-series that really laid out all the evidence available in the death of this little girl. We have made it easy for you to find by putting it on the homepage of clickorlando.com. New at 6 now, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office wrapping up a press conference. It was in response to some dash cam video of a traffic stop out of Jacksonville. You've probably seen this one circulating on your social media feed. It happened back in February, but the man at the center of it just shared this video. I want to warn you, it's pretty hard to watch.
Exit the vehicle now! Exit the vehicle!
So the Jacksonville Sheriff TK Waters says this is the video that has sparked an internal investigation. William McNeil Jr. was pulled over for not having his headlights or taillights on during some bad weather. But when the 22-year-old asked for a supervisor, things escalated to a deputy shattering his window and then hitting him in the face, then pulling him out of the car. About an hour ago, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office held a press conference about this and showed body cam footage from the incident.
These administrative reviews are ongoing, but the state attorney's office has determined that none of the involved officers violated criminal law. In this case, the cell phone camera footage that began viral circulation over the weekend does not comprehensively capture the circumstances surrounding this incident.
Civil rights attorney Harry Daniels, who's representing McNeil along with Ben Crump, says his client is still recovering from those injuries. The car detectives have linked to a hit and run in Brevard County has been found. A warning, this video is pretty disturbing. FHP says whoever was driving this gold Honda Accord slammed into a 55-year-old woman walking in her Port St. John neighborhood, and they never stopped. This happened earlier this month on Arabella Lane and Barclay Drive. FHP says now that they have the car, they're gathering evidence to figure out who was driving at the time. The woman who was hit broke her foot and fractured her neck. A neighbor tells us she was released from the hospital and is back home recovering. Well, tonight, a growing controversy in the city of Winter Springs over tree fees. $250,000 that city commissioners voted not to charge a developer for mowing down 100 more trees. That was last month. Then this month, commissioners met again to discuss changing their minds, claiming they never should have voted in the first place, even challenging each other's ethics. Your Winter Springs community correspondent Eric Von Aken is digging in to the back and forth.
The controversy centers around this corner of 434 in Winter Springs and what used to be here, trees cut down to make room for all of this. Winter Springs, like so many cities, charges an arbor fee.
This money is going to replace those trees in other parts of the city.
But the mayor disagrees with most of his commissioners over how much money the developer originally agreed to pay.
The $149,000 was paid.
The developer argued at last month's city commission meeting it had already paid up $149,000, according to a 2017 agreement, to cover all arbor fees for all current and future phases of the project, and was shocked when the city demanded another $227,000. The city's attorney warned commissioners the original agreement did not cover additional development.
You waive it here, they're going to come back for the next portion and say that, you know, they're entitled to the same waiver.
Still, the majority of commissioners,
Commissioner Caruso,
aye,
voted to remove the additional arbor fee of nearly $250,000. So the mayor took to Facebook with a post that got more than 60 comments, calling the vote a dangerous precedent and calling out his commissioners. He wrote, quote, each of the commissioners who voted for the fee removal held private meetings with representatives of the project.
And I regret the way that may have come across.
Mayor, you basically put it out there to the community that you're challenging our ethics.
The commission claimed they were bullied by the developer into voting last month and admitted they should have waited.
The whole thing is ambiguous. The whole thing smells on both sides.
No, we should have postponed the vote, is what we should have.
Yes, exactly.
We never should have held that vote.
So what happens now? Well, ultimately, the commission decided to bring all of this up again at their next commission meeting here in August, even possibly rescinding their original vote, even under threat of lawsuit from the developer, to which the mayor replied, bring it. By the way, I should tell you, I did an interview for about 15 minutes each with both the mayor and Commissioner Victoria Bruce here today at City Hall. I put those interviews unedited for you with all of my questions right now on clickorlando.com inside this story. I'm your Winter Springs community correspondent, Eric Von Aken, News 6.
New at 6, a surf instructor bitten by a shark describes the moment he says he felt a sudden clamp on his foot. We told you about the bite last Friday when we learned about the incident. Now he's out of the hospital recovering. News 6's Jana Manohalal caught up with him to hear his point of view, and a warning: you might find some of these images a little disturbing.
And then all of a sudden, like, I just feel like something clamp on the foot and just like yank me off, like almost like a cartoon, just like in a millisecond, just I'm off the board in the water.
Friday, June 18th started out like any other day for 18-year-old surf instructor Sam Hollis, but it quickly turned into a fight to keep his foot after a shark attacked him.
I've been, surfing at the inlet where that's where most of the bites happen. I've been there before and I've been bumped, I've been grazed, but nothing even comes close to what this felt like.
Jackson Craw, the only friend to visit Sam in the hospital, shares his immediate reaction to hearing about the bite.
It's crazy, but we both spend a lot of time in New Smyrna, so it's nothing we didn't expect. So it was cool after the fact to see, but I was terrified for him, honestly. But
So you just came back from your first follow-up with your podiatrist.
Yes.
How did that go? Did he say anything that, to keep it elevated, to not keep it elevated? What's the next step for you?
Next step is basically just rest. And he said number one thing was protein so that the muscle rebuilds, because I do have some areas where it's deep tissue damage.
I asked Sam if he would do it all differently.
If I had to do it again, I'd probably do it the same exact way, because, I get to keep the foot, I get to run, I get to swim, I get to surf, all in due time, of course, but I'm going to be a completely normal guy after I'm healed. So really, yeah, I'd do it all again if I had to get bit.
New Smyrna locals regularly record between 5 and 10 shark bites each year, and Sam's was the 4th this year. Gavin Naylor, the director of the Florida Program for Shark Research, tells me in an email that because of a high level of wave activity, high amounts of bait fish, and the wave activity attracting more surfers, when a wave hits, it actually makes it harder for the shark to tell if what they're biting into is a bait fish or a foot, making New Smyrna Beach shark bite capital of the world. But Sam shares some words of advice for those too scared to hit the beach after the attack.
But don't let fear keep you from doing something that you want to do.
In Maitland, Jana Manohalal, News 6.
Tell you, it was so hot out over the weekend, you would test those sharks in that water because you had to get in the water. Jonathan Kegas joining us now.
Yeah. We have a few storms out there to help cool us down. The good news is the warning that we had for Ocala and Marion County, Ocklawaha, that has been allowed to expire. It has weakened below severe limits. Still pretty nasty, though. Tons of thunder, tons of lightning. The rain is also very, very heavy. Some small hail also still associated with this cell as it kind of drifts out of Marion County, combines with a couple of extra cells in Sumter County and makes its way towards the villages. We'll take you a little closer in here as we watch these storms kind of come together. Fruitland Park into Leesburg, again, nothing severe, but I'm watching this for you. If you want to track these storms alongside us, download that free News 6 weather app. Again, you can put your location in there. You'll get alerts from the National Weather Service. You will get lightning detection from the lightning detection system as well, so you know when to get inside to stay safe from any kind of lightning. Just like this example here, as we have lightning striking several miles out ahead of the parent thunderstorm. But again, I'm going to be watching this out closely for you guys in Leesburg, Fruitland Park, and eventually Umatilla, Eustis, and Mount Dora. It is showing a weakening trend, but still pretty nasty at this time. Elsewhere, though, we've quieted things down a bit. We did have a few nasty thunderstorms around. A couple of lightning strikes still around Rockledge, just south of Port St. John, also around us in Yeehaw Junction. So again, watching those cells close to you. Check out this shot here, Port Canaveral. If you're not looking at your TV screen, have the rain shafts of one of those thunderstorms again that we just showed you on radar. This is a live look with our Launch Credit Union camera. You see the billowing clouds and then the rain. That's those kind of sheets there in the background. Really cool shot there on our port cam, again, courtesy of our Launch Credit Union camera at Port Canaveral. 90 degrees right now. Sunshine, at least at the port, but again, we had the thunderstorms around. We're at 87 now in Leesburg, again, cooling off with that rain-cooled air from the storm just to our north, already making its way to the airport center there. Claremont, we're at 87. Still very toasty in Kissimmee. We are at 96 degrees. Things are going to be changing big time over the next couple of days. It's because of this front here hanging off the Carolina coastline. It's helping to get some thunderstorms rolling up right off the southeast corner of the United States. And just like last week, really last Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, it's going to be very similar to that as we're going to have rainfall chances increase at kind of weird times that we aren't typically used to seeing in July in Central Florida. 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, I think we're going to have a few scattered thunderstorms around. Then here's about 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock. We're going to really fire up some thunderstorms here. So don't be surprised whenever there are thunderstorms out through parts of Central Florida late tomorrow and through the early stages of the afternoon. Likely will be dark and there's some lightning around as well. That's something I'll be tracking for you tomorrow. Now here's a look at your forecast.
Sponsored by Strata Air Conditioning and Heating. AC emergency, you ought to call Strata.
With the extra clouds coming in early with the rainfall, that's a sight for sore eyes. It's certainly going to be hot, but upper 80s and low 90s. Better than the mid to upper 90s that we had over the weekend. Rain chances tomorrow, as I just showed you, at about 70%. What isn't 70%, this little guy in the tropics, only a 10% shot. That thing's going to fizzle out before it gets to the Caribbean. Hey, my Tropics Watch newsletter comes out tonight. It's going to highlight everything that's going on in the Atlantic, which thankfully is not much. Just scan that QR code or go to clickorlando.com/newsletters. That's coming out in about 40 minutes. 70% shot for storms tomorrow and Wednesday. Big time pattern change from the big heat we had this weekend.
I always want that to be a boring newsletter.
Oh, it's a snooze fest.
Like one sentence, everything is fine. Sports director Jamie Say is here. Jamie, the Lake Mary All-Stars are moving on.
Yeah, they are not a snooze fest, right? They just pulled off a three-peat this weekend. So coming up, what is next for the Lake Mary All-Stars? Plus, meet the new boss of the Solar Bears. Matt McDonald takes over Orlando's hockey team. His message next.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Advent Health, helping the communities we serve to feel whole.
The best sports story of last summer has a sequel. The 2025 Lake Mary All-Stars took a step closer to returning to the Little League World Series over the weekend. Yesterday, the All-Stars captured their third consecutive state championship with a 10-0 defeat of a team from Tampa. Lake Mary has been rolling along this month, and now it will head to the Southeast Regional Round and represent Florida with a trip to Williamsport on the line. Lake Mary will compete in Warner Robins, Georgia next week. First up is a meeting with the Tennessee state champion 1 week from this Thursday. The regional round goes from July 31st to August 5th. And the winner of the Southeast region goes to Williamsport and back to the Little League World Series. News 6 checked in with the 2025 Lake Mary All-Stars recently at a practice. If these boys feel any pressure to lead Lake Mary to a second straight World Series title, they don't show it. They've got mantras as they enjoy this journey.
Focus and play as one team. We have this saying, if you pull the rope against each other, it doesn't work out as well because you're not working together. If you pull the rope with each other, you pull the rope and you defeat the other team.
You need a little bit of luck. You've got to stay in the grind, one pitch at a time. You've just got to go through the journey. Let the journey play its course and, let the book be written.
Another local athlete emerges as a winner this weekend. Orlando boxer and Edgewater High grad Amari Jones returned to the ring Saturday night in Texas for his third pro fight, made quick work of his opponent, knocking him out in the third round. Jones improves to 3-0 as a pro with 3 knockouts. The new coach of the Orlando Solar Bears says everybody he has met within the organization is committed to winning. That's why he took the job in Central Florida. Today, Matt McDonald was introduced at the Solar Bears Ice Den in Maitland, along with his wife and 2 children. He's also the team's new general manager, so he makes the roster decisions. McDonald comes to Orlando with almost 15 years of coaching experience in the minors. His goal is to transform the Solar Bears from a playoff team to a Kelly Cup champ.
That's the goal for everybody, is obviously to make it to the Kelly Cup finals and win. I was fortunate as a player to win it. I lost in the finals as a coach back in Cincinnati in 2014, but it starts from day one, to be honest with you. If not, it starts in the summer and talking about that. And the great part about this team is that the players I have spoken to, every single one has said, I want to win.
So I was there as McDonald was introduced. He could not say enough good things about the Orlando Solar Bears fan base. He's looking forward to bringing his team to the Kia Center.
I know he knows hockey because he says a boot.
Yes, he is Canadian. He's an Ontario
native.
native.
He's doing.
Yes.
All right, good stuff. Join us for our next newscast at 11 p.m. We break news at clickorlando.com. You can find all these stories and your updated weather on our News 6 Plus app or your TV. Have a great one.
Chris, you good? Ready. 7 to 8 and 5, 4,
3, 2.
Big pattern change heading our way into Central Florida as we move into tomorrow. The storms are going to increase at weird times of the day. We're going to pinpoint that timeline for you at about... Did it stop?